Instagram, you name it, and just talk. They really had no credentials to back up and validate who they are or why they got such a strong opinion about certain things, right? So my name is Shane Shepherd, and I want to validate the reason why I call myself the big homie of America. And that don't mean I'm the biggest homie of America. I'm the only big homie in America, but I am definitely a big homie of America. And the reason why I can validate and stamp that with my chest as I do is because I'm 46 years old, which means I was born in the 70s, 1978 to be exact. So that means I made it through the angry 80s and the nasty 90s. During them nasty 90s, I was a young man, 14 years old, jumped off the porch, started smoking sherm, packing my pistol, and really getting it in, like really pumping fear in people in my community, in the neighborhood, in the next neighborhood, all across the town, because I had a freedom that I wasn't supposed to have at that age. My father was addicted to crack cocaine as I was a young man, and so I didn't have leadership or guidance. I had to go out and figure out what life looked like. So by the time I was 16 years old, I had 2 children, and I had my own place, own car, and I was flipping a sack pretty decent on the west side of Indianapolis. 1137 Roach is where I lived at, on the bridge that connected the land and the hard part. So I got to see all the traffic and watch all the players and actually be that guy that can move on both sides relatively easily because I lived in the land, but I'm from the hard part, you dig? So if you know, you know. But I continued to grow and I continued to elevate in the streets, and I ended up in boys' schools, juveniles, group homes. And everywhere I went, somehow I would always become the leader. If I get in a room and somebody else is in control and his intellect ain't where it should be, I would figure out a way to supplant him, because I can't allow you to think for me, because you can't outthink me. And then when I made my physical catch up with my mental, I became a formidable opponent in these streets, in the field. A lot of times when you heard my name, my nickname used to be the boogeyman, right? Because I had a creepy way about myself, kind of remodeled myself after Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers type of bad guy, where I'm always where you think I shouldn't be, and I'm always on foot with it, and I'm quiet, right? So it gave people the creeps about me when I was a younger man. That was the mentality that I had adopted because I had seen it so much in my environment. I used to look up to the main man that hates me right now. I patterned myself after him. He's probably about 6 or 7 years older than I. Biggest gangster I had ever seen. Still to this day, thus far, I ain't seen nothing like him at all. And we from totally different neighborhoods. He represented one color, I represented another, but he was it when it came to this gangsterism. So I surpassed and supplanted all the people from my neighborhood because I didn't see the level of gangster I wanted to be. I was watching him, right? Because every time he popped up, people would shuffle different, move different, act different, and be different. And I wanted to be him, right? But I didn't know what all came with wanting to be him. At this moment, I would just see him pull up, jump out his Malibu, music bumping real hard, big necklace on, you dig what I'm saying? Everybody looking at him like he God when he get out. I'm just a young boy at the time, just watching, like, dang, I like his mentality. So I started to get close as I could to him. So I only made it to his third in command. That's how high and powerful that this gangster was. But I made it real close enough to where I could see his star pupil every day. And his star pupil was a lot like me. He was a hot boy, right? To ride motorcycles and flips and handsome, tall, talk it up, and he a buck at guns. So I was his right-hand man for a long time. I got to sit on his right side as a youngin', you know what I mean? Not as official right-hand man, but I'm one that he pulling up in the hood to come and get every day. You know, we smoked sherm together. Him being 21, me being 14, 15 at the time. This was our norm, right? So by the time I got 17, I was well-versed and well-vetted with the biggest gangsters on my side of town, period. It's just that simple. And I had mimicked myself after the leader of said gang because I wanted to be as powerful as he was on my side of this bridge. And I ended up pulling it off. I pulled it off to the degree where I can't undo it. Because remember when I told you I didn't know what else came with that side of the game. When you pump that much fear in people for that long a period of time, because this went on through the nasty 90s all the way through the 2000s, and then I ended up incarcerated for 12 years. But when you do that, ain't no taking that back. All the rumors, see, this was before the social media area, all the rumor mills, all the conversations, all the barbershop, beauty shop talks, like you become a part of that and that becomes like a folklore. It becomes a legend, right? Back in our days. And it becomes so much that some people would meet me and talk to me about me and not even know that I was who you talking about, right? And some of the stories that I would hear about myself would be astronomical. I'd be like, whoa, so y'all got me painted to be like this real big guy out here, and I ain't really not that, because I'm still in reality, I'm me, right? But I didn't recognize the type of fear and situation that I had put on the city. You know what I mean? Not just my community, on the city. My community feels safe because I was on their side, but it was difficult if you was on the other side of me at this time of my life because of my mentality. It's either all or nothing with me, period.com. I'm pulling up where you at, pulling up where you be. I ain't a daytime or a nighttime. I'm anytime type of guy. I'm instant offense and action with it off the top. But think about what that did to me. It put me at risk to lose my life. Like when them people came and got me, they came and got me like they was going to get like Saddam Hussein or somebody big. Like they came for me when they came for me, like military type takedown. Got me in cuffs, put me in the car and told me you would probably never go home because you got a list of detectives that want to talk to you and we just caught you with this gun. By the grace of the Most High, none of the detectives really had what they was talking about that they had because I really wasn't who they thought I was in that regard. I'm more laid back than they had me paid to be. I know how to move a lot better than what they had me paid to be, and I just wasn't who they thought I was in that regard. So I ended up just getting charged with the pistol that I got caught with. So at the time I was a felon. I was an armed career criminal. They ended up saying the minimum is 15. So I signed it within 2 months. Let me get that because ain't no sense in trying to do better than the minimum if I ain't about to cooperate. So let me get that 15. So I took the 15. I get in there and off the top, I'm classified with all the biggest gangsters in the country, all around. You can see it. I'm like, nigga, I done heard about you and you and you and you and you. And you and you and you and you, and I'm meeting board members from these organizations, the G's, and I'm meeting the leaders of the Vice Lords, and I'm meeting the Stones, and I'm meeting all these Crips and Bloods all around the country. I'm meeting dudes from DC and from the DMV and from Florida, and I'm meeting the Plugs and all the Atlanta boys. I'm like, why am I here with them? Because I had been classified as a real big gangster, right? But in my mentality, I knew then I need to get ahead here, and here it's all of us are animals. All of us are beasts. So what tames a beast besides some intelligence? So I read every book I could for 12 whole years. Like you can ask anybody who knew me. When you seen me, I had a book. I wouldn't care if we was on the yard, lifting weights, smoking weed, whatever we might have been doing. I still was in the middle of a book because I needed to learn. I needed to know. What did they do when we went to school when we was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, all the way through 12? You need to have your books. When you go to college, they're going to make you pay for what? Your textbooks, because the information is in there. So with the experiences that I had had in the streets and who I had become, I had a couple of choices. I'm going home. It's going to just be a while, but I'm going to go home. And I'm going to be about 36, 37, 38 years old when I get there, because I went in when I was 24. I said, I'm going to make it what I'm going to be when I get there. If I'm more of what I am now, I'm just going to get more of what I got coming, because look at all these men with these life sentences. But if I start to change my mentality now, be very intentional about who you become daily. Study your Bible, study your word, get to know God, get to know your history, get to know yourself. Who are you? What people do you come from? What's your tribe? What's your tribal customs and traditions? What's their history? Where are they now? Those are the questions that I had, because when you get to studying your past, you can study yourself, because you will know the ingredients that it took to make you who you are. Now I went all the way back to figure out both sides of my family, because I got time. I'm thinking, like, who was my granddaddy? Who was his kids? What did they act like? What were their behaviors? What were their characteristics? What are the Shockley men like? I like what I see. Let me look on the other side. What are the Shepherds? What do they do like? How they build? Okay. So I need this part of that, my DNA, to kick in, and this part of the other side, which is my daddy's side, to kick in, and I could be a heck of a dude. So I started building and reading, and I became a mental giant. I wrote 6 books while I was incarcerated. I put out 3. I stopped really putting out the books now because people in the world got such a low-level mentality, they don't want to read. And then AI done got it so messed up. I seen dudes just become what they call authors without having no intellect, letting AI write a book for them and things like that. So it just really started like turning me off to what I seen as far as the knowledge and the desire for knowledge in this free world. But me, I'm going to implement it. So what I've been able to do after being a low educated, I only had a GED, went in there and turned myself into a mental giant, came home, started first of all, I worked at the trash company first for $9 an hour for 6 months, because I needed to discipline myself and show myself that you're going to get up and get to it no matter what. And with that $9 an hour job, I ended up getting hired on permanently for 18, but my brain is too big, because by the time I got on the back of the truck in the next winter, I didn't want to be on the back. I wanted to be in the front. So I went and got my CDLs, and I boosted up to $22 an hour. I worked there for about a year, then my father got killed, might as well say, because this fentanyl pandemic or epidemic, whatever you want to call it, came through my ghetto way back in 17, slapped my daddy down, and it put me into a mental space that I did not want to be in, because now I'm trying to figure out who to blame, who's at fault, who did this to my daddy, who sold it to him, who gave it to him. But before I even got him in the ground, the questions changed to how'd he get it and why'd he get it? Why'd he take it? Why'd he accept it? Why is he still doing this? Why would he take that risk? So it's his fault that he took what he took. So it shifted my mentality from being angry at them to being angry at him. Either way it go, it cost me a lot of my good mental space that I had moved the furniture around. It sent me back into a dark space. So I went to therapy. I actually quit my job, went to therapy because I needed it. Because I took my FMLA, my job, it ran out. I couldn't go back at that time because I wasn't ready. I would have really punished one of them dudes in the locker room because they played too much. They hadn't been through nothing in life. Everything is kind of handed to them. A lot of them didn't have the understanding I had about life, and they didn't know who I was. And so stop playing with me at this time, because you might end up against a locker or something at that time. And so I continued to just think, what do I do next? And then my ministry hit me. Do what you always said you was going to do. Help other men become what you're becoming. I hadn't even became what I am then, but I knew I was deceived, and I knew what I was doing, and I knew where I was going. So I ended up, over that time, I ended up quitting that job, starting a nonprofit organization, went through all the things that I needed to go to learn: capacity building, grant writing, project management, budget management, program director, everything that you can imagine I needed to learn over a 2-year period. I did, and that program became successful. It was called Before You Fall. We ended up growing it from just a little neighborhood thing to where I'm in every school, to where I'm in the juvenile centers, to where I'm working at every place that you can imagine where they got underserved young males that they're calling me in, and I'm him. I'm at Job Corps. I'm all over the nation doing this because somebody got to do it. I got the books. I'm selling the books to the people who bringing me in. I'm talking for free. I'm teaching, mentoring these children because I just knew that somebody had to do it, and it worked. And you looked up, and I ended up with a group home. I ended up with a small house, a 3-bedroom in my community, a house I used to hustle out of. And that was my first community resource center. No boys could actually live and stay there at the time, but they could come there every day, do their homework, video games in here, a lot of mentoring, some good meals, food, basketball court outside, and I gave them a job cutting grass. That grew into me having a full-time group home on the corner of 35th Tibbs in Indianapolis, Indiana, where I housed 12 boys every day. And 40 throughout the day would come and go in programming. So that was like 52 boys each day from all around the city of Indianapolis that was coming to my space because they wanted to be around this positive mentality of a black man. And their parents would drop them off. And so now you can see that I'm shifting the mentality of these boys. And I still haven't been to a funeral yet from none of these young men that was in my house. As I realized that there were no other help for young black males. Nobody really cared the way that I did. I could see that everything was programmatic from a systemic standpoint. They gonna tell you what the best practices are. They gonna tell you what's best for you and your community. So I became like an outcast amongst the incast because I was like the spook that sit by the door. Now I got the information. I know what's going on. I know what the politics is. I know who's the power players. I don't want to play that game no more. And I shifted. And when I shifted, I became vulnerable again because now the same system that pays me really don't want much to do with me. So they cutting my strings. Everybody wants to disassociate themselves. And I hadn't done anything wrong, broken no laws, went to no jails or none of that. What happened was people started back to rumor mill. He's coming unglued. He's about to do this because some people had attacked me verbally. I attacked them back verbally. It was a verbal sparring match. It was things that was brewing around, and we all know. But at the same time, by the grace of God, nobody ended up throwing a rock at nobody. So to me, everybody panicked because they expected me to revert back to who I was. But I took that as a sign. Get out their way, G. Because they waiting on you to do something foolish to throw your life away. So what I did was I picked up this beautiful woman. I told her I want you to go with me. Well, where you going? I'm going to Florida. I already had made my hair big like locks and wicks in 2020 because I anticipated it was just pretty much my time to go. I had done everything I could do in my hometown. She said, yeah, I'm going with you. Well, we've left. We've had 2 more beautiful children since we left, which gives us a total of 3 in the house. She had a daughter when she came into the relationship. The daughter was 4 or 5 years old. Right now, she's 12. I also had a son that was born right almost exactly at that time, maybe a year before we got together, somewhere in that space. And now he's 7. So our family grew. We came to Florida. We moved in an apartment, enjoyed ourselves. I got into the solar industry, made a decent amount of money, ended up buying and purchasing us a home. And now we live in the state of Florida and are entrepreneurs in a young, successful black family that are just trying to make our way. Not wealthy by no means, but the mentality has shifted and we are in a better position, in a better place. So I wanted to say those things to validate to you why I speak truth to power the way that I do, because I have lived experience. I'm really what they call big homie in real life. Like, I should be all the way out the way, but I can't because I got a lot to offer to these younger men and these older men as well. So follow along, man, and really go tap down. Anything I said, I can back it up and prove it, but just go do your homework on me, do your history, ask your questions. You're going to get a lot of good, a lot of bad, a lot of love, a lot of hate, but what I want you to go find is the truth in the middle. I love y'all. Stay safe. Peace.